safe toilets before you feed them. So that budget that is allocated to education does not only service the education services, you must make sure that there's a safe place that they must go to before you even speak about teaching and learning. We've done that at school nutrition. We have a program called ACITI for making sure that our toilets, although we still have a few remaining toilets that are unsafe for learners, but the majority of South Africa has that in our schools. And number 3, the biggest elephant in the room is the issue of inequality, the inherited inequality. The issue of language is an inherited inequality on the learning trajectory of our children. Let me say that it is embarrassing for a government that it is Bantu Education 1 that had 12 years of mother tongue education. And in that 12 years of mother tongue education, thina bithi ezendaba, ezempilo, ezelizwe, izibalo. And we can manage because we have 12 years of the mother tongue. But do you know what happens when things are getting better? Teachers began to say, hey, because South Africa was getting into a democratic state and people were fighting, there was a reduction of the number of years in the mother tongue from 12 years, then it was 8 years. From 8 years, it was 6 years. From 6 years, it is now 3 years. And you see the correlation of the reduction of the quality of learning outcomes with the reduction of mother tongue education. We can't do much about the poverty at home, but at least when they are in school, we do something about it. South Africa in Africa is actually the country that everybody says that constitutionally, in terms of political framework, we are far. But all of these, we've done very little about any of the legislative processes and frameworks in the country that protect the rights of children. Not a single one of these entities that take the department to court, not even one of them has taken the department into court for the right to access mother tongue education. Not a single one. They will take it to the court about toilets. 3 children die, 20 kids die in toilets, and every year there are kids who die in swimming pools. And nobody has said eradicate swimming pools in schools. So people choose what it is, and these things are very, very important for us. When a child dies, even if it's one child who dies, in Gauteng 14 children died in pools last year. And these schools are in excellent schools. But you will never see any of the organizations say eradicate. So I'm saying to you, what do we choose to concentrate on? Sometimes worries me. Because even if you have a toilet, if whatever we are giving to you is not going to enable that you become a productive citizen, then you must find it. When we speak about college education, does it only relate to toilets? It can't be. Because if it means that you still live in Soweto, in a shack, after all of that, then we must worry about what it is that is our priority. And I'm not saying you don't, it's important, but I know that special planning in rural areas, the whole village there has a pit system, and you don't come boreholes, pits. The whole, that's the planning of rural areas. Now, how you get one school to have a sewage system to town is not going to happen. Because that school is so far from town. So what you must actually speak about is safe sanitation. Because the whole special planning of rural areas is around that kind of infrastructure. Now, if you concentrate on those things because you want to be engaged about the things that are not really going to make a material difference and take all the funding of government to those projects, we must understand that still, in terms of the sewage system, we might improve it because that's where we spend money, but in terms of why children are in school, we will always perform the following way. What has become obvious in our assessment data is that there are children of children who have mother tongue education but happen to be English and Afrikaans. The gap widens from grade 4. And that gap, by the time black children, black African language children, which is 1 to 3 schools, get to grade 6, they are so far apart that there's no way that they will be together in terms of achievement. No. So the transition that happens in grade 4 in South Africa, it contributes to future employment opportunities. We know who's going to go to serve a Kentucky. I still want to see a white person frying chicken in Kentucky. Health, we all know our problems with health and poverty. Poverty has a name and it has a color. The learning poverty gap was exacerbated in South Africa by COVID-19. It was not that before COVID we were fine, but COVID actually showed us why we are sitting where we are. This is the grade 6 performance in South Africa. It was already there in 2005. You see, all black children are sitting down here, and English and Afrikaans kids are sitting up there. In grade 6 already. Everyone wants to know, and this is what I had to do when I got to DDG last year. How much children do we lose in grade 4 because of the switch from African languages to English? Do you know how much? This is the gap. This is between grades 4 and 5. Those in 2011 are children who started out in grade 1 in 2011. This is the grade 12 class of 2022. And you'll see them in that blue that they started out in grade 4 being 1,036,378, that's the blue. And when they had to go to grade 5, there were 979. And that quantity in that 1 year was 57,088 letters. 57,000. You know where they're going to go. They're going to sweep here at events while you continue the classes. If we are not worried about losing 57,000 children in grade 4, I'm not sure what I'm worried about. When we have a legal framework that says you don't have to change, we have no policy in this country that says because you are black, change the language instruction in grade 4. We don't have a policy that says by virtue of you being black, you will suffer in grade 4. Already in the foundation phase, we have a strong mother tongue model. In the foundation phase, and you'll see the results of what happens in the foundation phase. And that disconnect happens immediately. They have to learn a language and learn through it. It is madness. You can't learn a language and learn through it at the same time. If that was scientific, you could see white children doing the same and colored kids doing the same. Then you know that everybody is in this madness. But because there's isolation of the madness, we have no other explanation for it. It's called institutional racism. Nobody wants to be called racist because we all want to be democratic. It is. You must call it for what it is. This is the performance of our learners in it. I'm a science teacher, by the way. I'm not a language teacher. And I discovered very late the damage I had done personally. In African language schools, a child goes to the staff room and you say to that child, speak English, please. Yeah. You take the child and say, well, to school, you get a page, that, a letter that says, please speak more English to this one at home. And you go to extra classes. You take these children, Saturday, they are learning. Because you want them to know. Now, what is the purpose of education? Is it for you to speak English or to know something about life? So the education of black children is always between knowing English and concepts. It's a triple burden. On top of being poor, you must show people that your English is very nice. This is their performance in grade 1. grade 2 and 3 in mathematics. If you look at the three colors, colleagues and friends, you'll see that the teal color is grade 1. And that delineation at the bottom of the categories is very important for you, particularly for educators. In grade 1, 2, and 3 is called the foundation phase in South Africa. The majority of our learners are sitting on the distinction side. They are performing in mathematics there. This is learners who are performing between 70 to 79, and then after that you see the distinctions there. So in grade 1, 2, and 3, the majority of learners, all of them in the system, are sitting here. There are very few of them who are sitting here. Can you see? This is between 50 to 59%. This is between 60 to 69%. This is between 70 to 79%. And there are your distinctions in grades 1, 2, and 3. And we are looking at this because most of the material that is there, and this is why we have this progressive decline in the foundation phases, because we have never sat down to look at the mathematics and the quality of maths, because we are simply translating and transposing from English to African languages. But what is important about this slide is that you see that most of them, 41% of them, are achieving distinctions in the foundation phase. Then, we have grade 4. We switch to English. Everything that you saw on the previous slide is 41%. You see them. These were 12%. And then you see that the majority of them sit between these two and not between these two. Grade 4, 5, and 6. It is called the grade 4 flag. We call it the guillotine here. If you want to know all these problems in black schools, with children beating teachers, you don't find in excellence schools a school linked to a police station. Children being so angry with teachers. When you are frustrated, you don't know what's going on. And half of the time you are wrong. You manufacture a crisis of a delinquent. I showed you the Tongue-Based. This column that is so big in the foundation phase is getting so high on these sides that you already know that you're going to use money for morning classes, evening classes, spring classes, summer classes, all these classes that kids go through. Because you are trying to fix a problem that you created. And anything in the system that you want to do for a particular group, you can't just say, oh, they need extra classes, because it creates this deficit narrative that teachers in black schools don't teach.
And we teach.
Nobody says, if you're a black teacher, you need to do two things. You teach English and the content at the same time. When are these children going to finish the syllabus? And when they write those exams, it's the same time. With those who have managed education. Now what is good about that? What is quality about that? It's called the mental effect in mathematics. Because those who are weak get weaker. Because mathematics is unlike history. With history, even if you don't do Hitler, you will get something in history. And you'll be good even if you don't know anything about the wars. You will get some war. The problem with mathematics and science is that it is a cumulative subject. You must build on your previous knowledge to understand the next one. And that's why the Department of Science and Technology is giving out so many percents each year, and there's no uptake of black children. This is what happens in grade 12. By the time these children get to grade 12, only those who are strong in maths will remain and will get 80.3%, and the rest of them get in mathematical literacy, because most children in the system are sitting with maths lit, and you'll see that the distinctions are 4.4%, and technical maths is 8.9%. Now, what is interesting about this data is that these children who are getting 80% in mathematics are in the Western Cape, and they are African speakers. In the same province in the Western Cape, the children from Kairi, Chanyanga, and Guguletu are not Muslim. recipients of mother tongue education that are performing where they are. And when people ask me, where will these children go after doing medicine in CBT? And I'm saying exactly where African kids go. They are professors of medicine and science. And they still know mathematics, even if they learn to African. So the questions that we have are called common sense questions. There's no science to it. If you don't know something, you don't know it. The problem we're sitting with that right now is that the majority of them are sitting with mathematical literacy, and no university is going to take you for medicine with mathematics. Or anything for that matter that has to do with sciences. So what do? We all go to teaching, even if we don't want to be a teacher. You ask a 5-year-old what do they want to become? I want to be a doctor, an engineer, and a pilot, and you know that they're not going to get it. This is what happens. In grades R, the red and the green shows you that these are children who are below 50%. There are so few of them in the foundation phase, and then we start to see the green, those who are performing below 50%. And there's no future for science. So shall I say what teacher about me? If you are black, you know that you are a social worker or a nurse or a teacher. This slide shows us that the DDE in 2015 did a racial analysis in terms of the mathematics performance of our learners in the system. All of them. Even if you are in exposed school. What is the picture in terms of the performance in mathematics? And you see here that African learners are the biggest. The majority, 233,000 of them. They wrote it, 228,000 of them. By the time actually they go to write, some of them are not even there for various reasons. The number who passed is 99,039, and the number that failed maths is 129,000. That's 43.4%. And go to the other racial groups, the white group, 17,000 of them, and they performed at 96%. So-called colored were 11,101, and they performed at 68%. And Indians were 6,000, and they performed at 84%. And Asians performed at 93.5%. Please mute online. You see, people get anxious when they get to these slides. It makes them uncomfortable. You must be uncomfortable. Yes. Because this is the truth of why when we say the right to language, mother tongue education, is everybody's right. Yes. We can't have a situation perpetually in this country when there are two groups outperforming everybody else. Then we don't have quality education or equal education. How much has changed? Remember, this slide is a 2015 slide of the results of the National Senior Certificate of the DBE. The DBE is the Tongue-Based Education. Now, I wanted to see whether anything has changed between 2015 and 2023. And this is what has happened last year. We celebrated when black children crossed the 60% Rubicon. That one, that colored kids were performing at in 2015, 68, till now celebrated because for the first time, the performance of mathematics was above 60, which was 61. And you see there that in 2021, black children were at 54.3%, in 2022, they were at 51%, and in 2023, for the first time, they are sitting at 61. But you all know that they must go to a morning class, to an evening class, to a Sunday class, to a Saturday class, to an afternoon class, to get them 61. When do these children go to their friends? When do they stay in their families? They sleep at school with mattresses. We cook for them. I was a head of department in my previous life. And this is why I committed myself to change this. Because this girl came to me and said, "Ma'am," because I visit these centers. And I saw that there was a patch on her dress because she menstruated while sleeping at school on a mattress. I called her on the side with a conversation and she said to me, "I'm coming here because I was late on my way home. That's why I must be here at school." We can't. There's no reason for them to be in such a situation of humiliation. If Mother education is good enough for white kids and colored kids and Indian kids, it is good also for black children. And that's what I'm saying. We should remain like this. Girl children go through a lot. We can't add another layer of difficulty to their lives. We have to complied with the beautiful legislation everybody is clapping their hands for. The institutional racism is kept in place by, number one, when they write exams. If that paper is 2 hours, you must take that paper after 2 hours. Even if they are still trying to understand the question. And if you've never been to a market center where a child gives the whole section of 20 marks, and the only answer they write is, "I cannot understand the question." And you move up, almost. Why must that be a problem? It has a color in it. Because underperformance this country has a color, it has a race, it has a language, and it has class. So the next time you have a lot to say about mother tongue education, just know that we are trying to avert the situation that we see. While racism has been removed in the legislation in this country, we still keep it in place by making sure that there are advantages for the previously advantage and those other children can't have. And I always tell the Africans, mother tongue education is not only for Africans. This country has rights, but it also has responsibilities. So while you know that I must protect my right, just know that there's somebody else whose right must be protected at the same time. So we have done a lot about rights and very little about responsibilities. And that's why people behave the way they do. What is institutional racism, colleagues? It is your belief that certain systems represent quality. And I was telling one who's last week, and that's what Prof is talking about, not having to pull me down. I was saying to months, you see, you are a quality assurance system. Your job is quality control. And a quality assurer must make sure that there is no inequality or disadvantage. So each year, Umalusi releases a report that says these exams have been fair. On the first paragraph, they say language is a disadvantage for black children. But the same quality assurance system says the examinations have been fair. So all of us are co-conspirators against children. All of us. We are equally responsible for keeping the system in place that disadvantages children based on language and on race. And you must say this truth to each other. And if it does not move you, you must know that actually that's how racist you are. Whether you are black or you are white. The systems you have put in place. People ask, where are you going to get markers? That is not the fault of the child. Don't make your problem the problem of children. They ask the university, who is going to teach my department? It is not the child's fault that you are in South Africa and you can't converse with learners in their language, particularly the language of the region. So when we actually address issues of linguistic racism or linguicism, we accept that there are some of us who have had the advantage to just cruise in the system without worrying about African languages. Then the institution has the responsibility to assist you. But don't block out the possibilities for other children.
Yes.
It's not their fault, it's yours. Government has not done enough to ensure that all of us have some African language in our repertoire. So instead of saying it can't happen because we're going to get them, just say that please let's make sure that you capacity that you do team teaching, co-teaching, all of these things, because if you are a teacher, your role is to make sure that child makes it.
Yeah.
Unless it is fine. This is my last slide. The Minister of Basic Education at the time, did and commissioned the National Capital Assessment in 2022. I was part of, actually I initiated, and I don't want to say I, the Eastern Cape at the time. I was appointed, taken from the Western Cape. When the DA took over in the Western Cape, and I say this without fear of flavor, the first program to suffer was what was called the Language Transformation Plan, the LTP. We crafted a program. At the time, I was still at the University of Cape Town, in a project called the Project for Alternative Education in South Africa, working with Netherlands. We crafted a bilingual program called the Language Transformation Plan, where we extended mother tongue education in some schools in the Western Cape. The first thing that was done in the Western Cape in 2010 was to get rid of the Language Transformation Plan. And those schools that were beginning to see their learners doing well in maths in grades 4, 5, and 6, those principals cried. Because the parents began to see that, because this is not about English or African languages, it's about a bilingual program where your child will do well in both their own language and English. So it's not an either or, but the Eastern Cape offered that opportunity, and I went there to start what is now called Sofiva Pilot. In 2010, I was appointed. In 2012, we started the pilot, and I was given the underperforming schools of the Eastern Cape, because black people every time they don't believe that they can do this and can do this, or it will work. The skepticism is what holds us back. And it's not why people are doing it, it's black people. Because the first thing that you do, can you please mute your mic? The first thing that you do is that you must prove that you have enough English and your child speaks enough English and you are better off. And God, stop saying God, they become my God. Speak to people, say hello, and they say, oh no, sister does not speak this because please speak English, no, sister, because she can't speak this because. If you are one of those parents who say that, it actually shows how foolish you are. Because no sister later on will need those people later on in life when you're not there. You won't be there. So do no sister a favor. Teach your sister English, but also make sure that no sister does not have identity issues. I always tell people that, my daughter is doing this course on, she's at medical school, and she's doing medical orthotics and prosthetics. And she cried when she was doing practicals. She said, Mama, for the first time I see why you've been passionate about this since I was born. Because she couldn't speak Sesotho, Setswana, at George Mukhari Hospital because this patient had lost a limb. And she said to me, because I could not speak to her, I knew that the prosthesis I would make for this woman is going to kill what is remaining in her leg. Because I don't understand. I must understand whatever is left there, where is the sensation, so that I don't hurt the piece, the small piece that remains. And she said, I don't know how doctors manage. Because the prescriptions we give to patients are based on a misunderstanding between the patient and the doctor. And most people die because the doctor didn't understand. And you can't say sorry. She was crying because she said, Mama, I used that worker in the hospital to try to explain to me what she was saying in Spain. I didn't know. And I cried because I know that even if I make it, she's going to be excited because she's a leg, but I know that it will kill whatever is going on. Because if you miss where the sensation is, that is more dangerous than not having. So this is not about just teaching. It's about service delivery. Now when we started that curriculum protocols, we did from 2010 and concluded in 2016-17. The Eastern Cape is the only province in the country that has grade 12s who have trilingual, bilingual exams, multilingual exams, when those children sit down to write exams in grade 12. The only one. Because when we got them, those children to come to grade 12, they had finished that program when they were in grade 7, but we said, let everyone in the Eastern Cape enjoy this opportunity. And now, even if they answer in English, but at least they would have understood the question in the language that they understand. And this is what this getting the system to be about. Get the language. Get the question right. Lastly, teachers don't teach in English. Please don't fool yourselves. Nobody teaches in English. Good teachers know that it's not about English. Yes. Particularly when teaching science and maths. It is only the assessment that they do in English. So this whole thing about English, they are already doing it. And those are the results of the National Language Assessment. They smuggle this language. They trans language. All teachers and teachers of schools in this country. It is a right that they have. Like the parallel and German schools that are up there in English and Afrikaans. Lastly, the announcement that was made by the minister in 2024 this year, Minister himself, on the 21st of February, which was International Mother Language Day, was about arresting the epistemic violence we are visiting on children. I used to be very controversial when I refused that my daughter go to those award ceremonies. Generally, award was those kids. If you are 90% in maths or whatever, everybody claps for you. As if everybody else has not performed to standard. And you say to them, you see this one, you must be like this one. I have a child who never studies. She has a photographic memory. Everything that she taught, that's how she is. I know she does not study hard because I know I'm her mother. So I can't compare those kids who are struggling and give them the impression that mine is doing well. So when we do this thing of mother tongue-based bilingual education, we are trying to address that violence that we visit on these kids. It is violence to try to give an impression to this person that one, if they are a teacher, they are lazy, they're not doing enough. Of course, they are teachers are not doing enough, whether they are black or white. You still have very lazy teachers all over. But the majority of our teachers are doing their best to try to make a difference to the life of the students. So next year, what we will do? We are concentrating on 2 subjects. In the Eastern Cape, we concentrate on maths and science because of the background. And also because of the cumulative nature of the subject. And lastly, because mathematics and science have a register that makes it difficult for learners to understand the content. So even if you are English speaking, you won't know what a trapezium is. Somebody will teach you that. You won't know what photosynthesis is. Somebody will teach you that. Now, if you are still learning all E's, no was in English, when are you going to get to the actual photosynthesis? You can't. And that is the problem. It is not because God is white. Therefore, they know mathematics. It is because the system that has been designed is not allowing all children. Because there are kids who don't like math, even if they are white, by the way. But at least it gives you an edge that you understand how the lesson is going. And that's what we are. So this whole rollout is going to start next year. And the issue of readiness and all other things are issues that we are grappling with now because we're trying to reverse a system for 250 years that has been concentrating on 2 languages and 2 groups. So it's going to be a challenge. But we can't not start because we are saying, how is it going to open out. We are past that stage in this online. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I don't. Yes, I did. Okay. Can you go over to the front?